Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Brandy Keeler. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions at the College for Creative Studies, or CCS, which is an art and design school located in the heart of Detroit, Michigan. At CCS, our whole mission is to help students who have an interest in art or design really take that interest, grow that passion, elevate their talent so that they can join the next generation of creative change makers, making a difference in the world, doing what they love with creativity. And so today I'm going to share why I believe CCS is one of the best art and design schools in the country for students looking to pursue a future in a creative career path. I want to start my presentation today by introducing you to a few alumni who've graduated from CCS. So our presentation is heavily visual. I'm going to turn my camera off while I share the visuals, and then at the end, if we have any questions, I'll cut my camera back on. So I want to start with one of our transportation design graduates, Tim Flattery, who is currently a world famous concept artist and designer. He's also our Dean of Undergraduate Studies at CCS. So like many of our alum, they're successful in their careers and they return to teach in our classrooms here. But Tim has worked on over 40 films in nearly 30 years of his career. He's worked with directors like Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton. I bet you've seen some of the films he's done concept art for. His film credits include movies like Men in Black 1 and 2, Hunger Games, Pirates of the Caribbean, Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Captain Marvel, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and the list goes on. Share a couple other alumni stories here. Chris Houghton, when he first left CCS, was working as a freelance cartoonist and animator and storyboard director at Nickelodeon and Disney on series like Gravity Falls, Harvey Beaks, and Kirby Buckets. Now he's doing the same for his very own animated kids series called Big City Greens, which airs on the Disney Channel. And I say Chris and his wife are pretty lucky. They both found their career and their life partner at CCS. So Chris married his fellow illustration colleague Cassandra Heller. She studied illustration at CCS, and she is the creative director on Big City Green. So it's really a family affair, that cartoon. It's really cool that they can say, younger than 35, they have their own cartoon on the Disney Channel. But having an amazing career in art and design isn't just about making things that influence culture, like fabricating Yoda for The Empire Strikes Back. Wendy Frau is our crafts alum who worked on that. But it's also about changing the world with creativity. I know one of our product design graduates, Sharice Thornhill, when she was a junior at CCS, her senior year at CCS, she had an internship at Nike that turned into a full-time role as a footwear designer, where she worked there for nearly a decade, designing shoes across multiple categories and sports. She actually designed the Jordan 16.5 for Dwayne Wade and the Zoom KB24 for Kobe Bryant. But she realized in a lot of the studios she was in that she was the only woman of color, or one of the few women making design decisions at the level she was at. And so she actually left her successful career at Nike to partner with Adidas, and is now the design director at SEED, or School for Experiential Education and Design, where she works as a mentor and advocate for women who can't access this pipeline. So she's creating education for women from diverse backgrounds, women who may not even be able to access higher education. And she's creating career opportunities, right? Further access into the sportswear design industry. Another great example of an alumni making a difference in the world is Veronica Scott. Her junior year at CCS, she had an assignment to design for a social cause, and she decided she wanted to tackle the issue of homelessness. So she designed this coat that she's wearing here that transforms from a winter coat into a sleeping bag that helps people who can't get into homeless shelters. And in the class assignment where she was working on this, she was testing in shelters across the city of Detroit, receiving feedback. And one piece of feedback she got was, coats don't change lives, jobs do. And so she actually took that feedback to heart and designed a business model where she could employ people experiencing homelessness, teach them the skill of sewing so they can fabricate these coats, and then donate the coats to people who are still in a situation of homelessness. And she actually started that business. It's called the Empowerment Plan. It's currently valued over $3 million. And she's been able to employ over 95 individuals who were initially in homeless shelters when she employed them. And every single one of the individuals she's employed are now in independent housing. They're stable. They're out of the situation of homelessness, thanks to her design and her business ideas. Creativity really can change the world. I'll play one quick example of alumni from our entertainment arts departments telling you from their perspective what it's like to work in a creative career field.
My favorite part of this job is, as corny as it sounds, it's making cool stuff. Designing creatures, like, how cool is that? I go to work and it doesn't feel like work. It's a career. It's like your dream job,
I feel so blessed to be able to say that I live out here and I work out here doing something that I love and that I honestly feel like I shouldn't get paid to do. Being a visual effects company, we get the footage after everything has been shot, and we're expected to add to the footage. And there's a very multi-step process involved in that.
A regular workday for me here at Pixamundo, as a CG generalist, it would be lighting, rendering, texturing, creating assets for whatever show that we're working on at the time.
After these multiple step processes, it finally reaches compositing, and I bring together all of the footage, the lighting, the CGI, the texturing, the camera movement, and just bring it all together into one. And we try to make it seem seamless. The end goal is to make the director happy and the clients happy, and we're willing to do anything to do that.
The coolest project that I've worked on for sure has to be The Mandalorian. Big Star Wars fan growing up. I know when I heard we got the gig, I was very, very excited about it.
I fell in love with Star Wars very early on, and the fact that I could say that I actually contributed to one of their projects is unbelievable. My number one thing that I love in this industry is the opportunity and the potential that one could have, and it's limitless. It literally is limitless. You can go travel all around the world, get paid a tremendous amount of money. There's just endless opportunity, and I'm ready to take it all on.
Having all my work finally, in front of me and realizing that, this is something that I was a part of, it's very, very exciting. And just, going back home and showing all my friends, what I've worked on in the past few years, it feels pretty good.
I've worked very, very hard to get to this point at CCS, and the fact that just continuously pushing towards a certain goal, and it's a dream come true, honestly.
And that's really our goal, right? To make those dreams come true. And this is just a small sample of some of the many amazing things our graduates are doing, from, doing clay modeling for Ford Motor Company, to world building for Blizzard Entertainment, to using their illustration for clothes for the Billionaire Girls Club, right? There's so many different things you can do with a career in art and design. So now I want to talk a little bit about what CCS does to get students into these fields of art and design. We are a very unique campus, and we've been teaching art and design for over 100 years, since 1906. And we've grown to become the city of Detroit's only nonprofit, private, fully accredited college. And we offer bachelor's degrees in 13 different majors, as well as a teacher certification in art education. CCS also has STEM designation for several of our bachelor's programs. So that's really advantageous for students who are international students at our campus, but this is not something we're new to, right? Over 100 years we've been teaching art and design. So here's the full list of our bachelor's degrees, as well as some of our emphases. We also have master's programs. And in addition to our bachelor's degrees, we have 20 minors, the 7 emphases that you see here, including entrepreneurial studies concentration. So I want to let you all know that art and design colleges, specifically private art and design schools, they attract a very diverse student body, right? So we have students coming from across the country, across the world, to pursue these different types of pathways. And we value diversity, equity, and inclusion at CCS, right? Creative people are typically more open-minded. So we see people from all different walks of life, whether it's their nationality or gender expression, sexual identity, cultural differences. They all come to color this one beautiful campus family that we have at CCS. But because it's a private school, it's a very intimate setting. So the average classroom size is about 9 students per faculty member. So in that way, you're getting a lot of one-on-one attention for specifically what you uniquely need on your creative path and from the curriculum here at CCS. But art and design is a viable industry for a career. In fact, the visual arts employ more than the performing arts and sports industries combined, right? There are nearly 700,000 businesses involved in the creation and distribution of the arts. And there are over 2 million just artists actively working here in the US, right? So when you think about this, I want to put this into some numbers terms. The arts contribute to over $800 billion of the US economy, right? That's more than agriculture and transportation, right? And when you think about of the number of artists working jobs-wise, that's over 30 million jobs globally, right? There are a lot of ways to use your creativity in a career. In fact, creativity is one of the #1 in-demand soft skills in all industries, not just in people, making art and doing design. Creativity is how problems get solved. It's thinking outside the box and thinking differently. The students learn those skill sets here at CCS. But speaking specifically of the creative industries, we have been named one of the top ranking institutions preparing students for the creative industry. We've been named one of the top 3 design schools in the US by LinkedIn. We've also been named a best value school by Money Magazine, PayScale, and Niche. We top the ranks of best visual and performing arts schools and design programs according to College Factual, Niche, Learn.org, Design Intelligence, Women's Choice Awards, GradDegree.com, US News World Report, and Plexus, right? And that list is growing. And for those who are interested in transferring, you'd be happy to know that we're one of only a handful of schools in Michigan to be recognized as a transfer-friendly school by Phi Theta Kappa, right? So people are, when they're looking for art and design degrees, CCS is topping the ranks of many lists. And our alumni, if they aren't starting their own successful businesses like Veronica Scott, who I showed earlier with the coat, they have careers at companies they've always dreamed of working at: Nike, Apple, Disney, Google, CNN, National Geographic, Pixar, Rivian, Yahoo. The list really goes on. Apple, Google, right? So if there is a company you dreamed of working at, a Fortune 500 company, I promise you we have alumni there. We have a vast alumni network and companies across the world. And that's because we have a career development office helping students connect to these opportunities, right? They help students connect to paid-only internships where they can do internships for credit while also being compensated for their value that they're bringing to these organizations and doing on-the-job learning, right? We also have industry day events where companies come to campus to actively recruit students for the varying industries that they're interested in. Students can participate in these as early as sophomore year. Really, and this is how students are getting internships, but also getting job offers. I know as a student, I'm also an alum. I didn't mention that earlier. I had 3 paid internships prior to graduating, thanks to these industry day opportunities. And then we also have a mentorship program where students are paired with faculty who are actively working in the industry or industry-based mentors who are guiding them on their specific path for their industry. And lastly, we have something called sponsored studio projects or sponsored research. We do about 15 of these every semester, and these 15-week courses are where students are actually working on real-world assignments in the classroom setting. I'll show you a quick example of this from our Craft and Material Studies department, where our fiber and textiles design students were learning their pattern and printmaking skill sets from their faculty member, but actually making patterns for a real client. The client in this class was Guild and Grace, which is a wallpaper company. And so students were pitching those ideas, their patterns that they created, to the company. And the great thing about this class is that oftentimes, because of the level of skill that we're teaching students, their work is actually used by the company. So Guild and Grace actually use all the students' work from this classroom, and the students all received royalties, AKA they got paid for their homework assignments for that class, right? And that's something that sets your resume apart, sets your portfolio apart when you're working on things for the real world. So we've had students do sponsored studio projects with Nike and actually have their shoe put into production. Or, have a sponsored studio project with the Little Caesars Arena, which is our major sports arena here in Detroit, and actually have their public artwork on display for everyone going to that space. So it's a great way of really growing your skill sets and growing confident in what you're doing prior to leaving CCS. So we've done over 90 sponsored research projects, and the list of partnerships continues to grow over time. I'll quickly show you what our facilities on campus looks like because it's not your traditional college campus. Our site is divided into two campus settings. So the Walter and Josephine Ford campus for all of our traditional media majors, and then the Alfred A. Topman Center of Design for our design-based studios. But you'll see that the classroom setting is really an artist studio here at CCS. The students have access to industry-level equipment for everything they need for their particular major, whether that's a stop motion animation lab or a student-run gallery, a glass blowing facilities or metalsmithing shops, a full green screen stage, or virtual, I said virtual reality labs already, but audio visual center where they can rent out cameras, lights, lenses, or studio spaces, right? Everything you need to do your work at industry level setting is provided to you. So for example, for our fashion program, there's over 6,600 square feet of sewing equipment and fashion accessories machinery, right? So we highly encourage you to come to campus and see for yourself in person. I can't even go through the full list of all the facilities. This is it, just in case you're curious. We'd love to show you in person all the tools our students have access to. And like any college campus, we do have student housing. So students have the option to choose between loft style and apartment style dormitories for their dormitory needs. And all the furniture is provided on campus. We also, fun fact, have free parking on both sides of campus. That's very rare for a lot of colleges. So students can commute all 4 years if they want to, or stay on campus all 4 years and still have a car and not have to worry about paying for parking. So this is an example of our 6-person suite, which is just like an apartment. Students have, in this particular dorm setup, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living room, kitchen, and dining room area. So it is like a real apartment. And then in our Topman Center housing, we actually have loft style dorms, which is more like traditional dorms, but you still have your own private bathroom in your suite and communal spaces outside your dorms where you can do activities with your peers. And we have resident assistants on both sides of campus, making sure students have any dorm issues mediated and have access to all the resources they need. And when students are staying in these facilities, they're in the heart of a really amazing setting here in Detroit, Michigan. The area of Detroit we're located in is called Midtown, or the cultural center of Detroit. And it's one of the top up and coming neighborhoods in the United States, according to USA Today. So of all the neighborhoods in the country, we're one of the top. And it's because we have a burgeoning food scene. We have an amazing wine culture here in Detroit. We're the hub for so much rich history, from architecture to innovation. And if you're big into music, a lot of, we're Motown, right? So there's a great history of music from techno to rock to blues here in Detroit. One really fun fact about Detroit is we actually are the only city in the United States that was given the United Nations UNESCO design designation, meaning when the United Nations was looking across the globe for places where design innovation is doing what it needs to do to move humanity forward, Detroit was the first and currently the only city in the US given that designation. So we're really proud of the way that our city is pushing culture forward, and you're benefiting from that by being a student here in Detroit. So next I want to talk about what students are learning in the varying programs at CCS. Give you an example of some of the student work from each of our majors, starting with advertising design.
Advertising is the voice of the brand. So we facilitate communication between a brand and consumers, whether that's through multimedia or traditional media, interactive media. We're communicating with people. It's everything that you see, from television to online videos to pre-roll. It's print advertising that you see flipping through a magazine. It's the billboards that you see when you're driving by. It's mobile applications that you're interacting with on a regular basis. We're learning photography, we're learning filmmaking, we're learning storytelling, we're learning how to maintain a consistent narrative across all media. At CCS, you're surrounded by like-minded people. Going to a university, you're going to get a broader exposure. Here, it's very focused. So everybody you talk to is a creative, no matter what department they're in, and that helps you generate more creative ideas. It helps you hone your craft. Detroit is nestled in a top 10 market still in the United States. Advertising agencies from all over the nation come to CCS to recruit our students. Places like RPA, Leo Burnett, Crispin Porter, Wyden and Kennedy, they've all been here and they've recruited students. With a degree from the advertising program here, we've had students leave to become art directors, creative directors, copywriters, user experience designers, the list goes on and on, project managers, directors of photography, we've got filmmakers, other things like that. You can cut that together, right?
That's Ryan, one of our educators here at CCS. But one thing I want to emphasize too for advertising is that in addition to moving forward the voice of a brand, you can also make companies be more ethical and inclusive in the way that they create advertising. And so we're really emphasizing the way that you can influence culture through this program. Next is our art practice program, which most schools call fine arts. But for us, it's the intersection of painting, print media, and sculpture, with an emphasis in experimentation, developing your voice, and thinking critically about art. So learning art history and how that influences the way you want to move art into the future. We also allow students to take classes in other areas to make sure that their practice really supports what they're trying to say with their work. So students can take classes in performance-based fine art, installation art, and much more. Next is our communication design program, which most schools call graphic design. But it's not just about designing logos or print materials anymore, right? So we changed the name to really show what students are doing in the industry once they're done with the program. So students are doing branding, identity development, and typography and strong design, but they're also creating websites and doing motion graphic design. They're creating user experiences through apps and other digital interfaces, right? And so communication design really is the art of how we use visuals to communicate, whether that's print, digital, or interactive, right? And because of the way that we've created this program, our program has actually been named one of the top graphic design programs in the country, according to Graphic Design USA. Next is our craft and material studies department, which is a great fit for students who are very tactile. You like to work with your hands. You can choose from one of 4 emphasis areas in craft and material studies. The first is ceramics, where students are doing wheel thrown, casted, sculpted ceramics work, as well as learning the science of glaze making. We have our fiber and textiles design department, which is everything from weaving to costume design to making textiles for furniture or fashion, doing different dyeing techniques. Next is our glass program. We're one of the few schools in the world that offers a bachelor's of fine arts in glass art. You think about going and seeing a beautiful stained glass window. That's not something people are buying at IKEA, right? There has to be an artist behind every piece of glass you see out there, from chandeliers to functional glass art. And so students are learning to manipulate this material using hot and cold techniques in our state-of-the-art glass facilities. And then lastly is our metalsmithing and jewelry making program, where students are doing everything from small metal jewelry to large metal fabricated sculptural pieces. And one thing to know about all of these programs within craft and material studies is that while we focus on fine craftsmanship using traditional tools, we are teaching students emerging digital technology for their specific emphasis. So for example, in our ceramics program, we have a printer that can 3D print clay. You know, our jewelry students are able to do programming into rapid prototyping machines and 3D printers to do unique cuts for their work. And so we are making sure, you know, in fiber and textile design, students can actually print on fabric and program in different designs. So we are making sure, again, you're on the cutting edge for your discipline. Next program is our entertainment arts department, which has 3 areas of emphasis, all with the heart of storytelling at the core of them. The first is animation, where students are learning to do 2D, 3D, and stop motion animation, as well as flash and digital, right? So they're learning 3D modeling skills, as well as, you know, frame by frame, hand-drawn animation. And the CCS is one of the top 10 colleges for animation in the Midwest and the #1 college in the state of Michigan for animation. Next is concept design, which is a really unique major. There are only a few colleges in the world that educate and prepare students to become concept designers. And concept designers, like I mentioned earlier with Tim Flattery, they bring stories to life envisioning every design element from props to scenery to costumes and characters for the film industry. So either live action movies and sometimes for games. And they are really helping to design everything an audience visually experiences in those settings. This is our only competitive major at CCS, so there are some more strict requirements for the portfolio for concept design. Next is the last area for entertainment arts, which is game art. And according to Animation Career Review, CCS is the top game design college in the Midwest, one of the top 10, excuse me, game design colleges in the Midwest. Our game design program is not coding. It really is about the design, the imagining, the concept, the characters and environments for video games. The students are learning how to do design for augmented reality and virtual reality in our virtual reality lab on campus. Next program is our fashion design program, which is a really good program because it combines fashion accessories design with fashion design. So students are learning to design handbags, leather goods, accessories, as well as garments, everything from streetwear to couture. You can literally design from head to toe in this program, which makes it a really unique one. A lot of schools may emphasize one or the other. And we're one of the few programs that includes footwear design in our fashion program. And we're one of the largest, most equipped fashion programs in the US because of the square footage and sheer amount of equipment students have to do their work. Our students are doing opportunities like faculty-led study abroad and participating in London Graduate Fashion Week. We have standing internships with Calvin Klein and some really amazing industry partners for this program. Next is our film program, which is all about storytelling using live action. So students are learning every aspect of film production, from directing, editing, script writing, to storyboarding and visual effects. And students are learning these different techniques for different styles of filmmaking, like narrative filmmaking, which is what we typically see in the movies, to experimental forms of filmmaking, like music videos, as well as documentary filmmaking. So we have graduates who are working for top film productions, as well as for National Geographic. And as you can see in the examples here, like I mentioned earlier as well, talking about our campus facilities, there is a whole slew of equipment that students can use to produce their work at an industry level, which is why, according to Niche, CCS is one of the top colleges for film and photography in America. Next, I'll play a little video about our illustration department.
Illustration is really, it's storytelling ultimately. It's one of the oldest professions, really on the planet. I consider it art created under the circumstances. You work with a client, you try to wed your vision with what their vision is on whatever the project is. But also there's a lot of room as an illustrator for you to express yourself and to find ways in which you can experiment and push yourself as an artist. But you're really a visual storyteller at the end of the day. I consider what we do in our department as high tech meeting high touch. We stress the fundamentals. We really want students to get their hands dirty with painting, but we also show them how to push pixels. We show them the latest and greatest software so that they understand what the industry needs and what they're doing is relevant to the ever-changing demands of what, applied art, illustration, design, what those needs are for those clients.
So moving on to our next major, which is our newest major at CCS, it's really exciting, is interdisciplinary art and design. So this program combines a variety of majors into one single pathway where students can explore theory in conjunction with art and/or design studio practices. So a lot of programs out there, they may be interdisciplinary art or it's an interdisciplinary design, and we're marrying those two into one program here at CCS. So students are working closely with a faculty mentor to identify their interests, the skills and needs as they relate to a specific career goal. And they're working to develop a curriculum plan that supports their career goal, right? So it's giving them innovative connections between coursework, experiential learning, and making. And this is really cool because this allows students to have multiple majors as well as minors because the curriculum is so open for this program. So it's a lot of flexibility for students who want to do things that may not traditionally correlate, like glass art and interaction design, right? Or typography for communication design and fiber and textiles and fashion. right? You can combine some areas that typically don't go together. Next is our interior design program, not to be confused with interior decorating, which is how students are learning to design spaces and how spaces affect people and light and sound that move through them. So whether that's a commercial space, a residential space, a vehicle interior, or exhibits, our students are designing floor plans, they're drawing elevations, they're learning to create 3D models of spaces, and they're designing using industry level software so that they're ready to enter the work field with their credentials. And we are accredited by the by CIDA, so the Council for Interior Design, which is one of the highest accreditations a school can get that are teaching interior design. And our program has also been named one of the best interior design bachelor's degrees by College Choice. So we're really proud of that. Our photography program is a traditional and digital photography program. So for the entire photography career spectrum, we are teaching the skills students need, everything from fashion and documentary to photography to fine art and commercial studio work. Students are learning both the technical and creative skills necessary to create specific images that they envision using cameras. And they're also being pushed to, work with video, because that's something that's needed in the industry for photographers these days. So it's a really unique program, and students have access to free professional cameras, both film and digital, for this program. Next is our product design program, which this department is great for students who like engineering, right? Students who want to creatively solve problems for a variety of industries. They're learning to sketch their ideas, make digital renderings and physical prototypes and models. And students are typically coming up with new designs to help improve the way that we live our everyday lives. Everything from medical devices to toys to athletic gear to tech and much more. And because of the level of skill students are leaving this program with, CCS has been named the #1 product design school in Michigan, according to Plexus, which is pretty great because we're nestled in the heart of industrial designers. We have one of the top concentrations of industrial design careers out there. So we're really happy that we've gotten that designation for students interested in that path. And if you're interested in industrial design but want to do objects that move, transportation design is a great path for you at CCS. Our program teaches the design of all vehicles, not just cars. So that means motorcycles, mass transit, boats, tanks, planes, spacecraft, and much more. Students are learning technical sketching skills and 2D and 3D rendering skills necessary to enter this path, but they're also making 3D scale models from clay or foam. And there's a whole career path just for clay modeling for automotive. And students can enter that path as well with a degree in transportation design from CCS. But they're also learning to model an alias, and they're using gaming software like Unreal Engine or Unity to do 3D models, virtual 3D models of their programs, of their vehicles as well. So they're working on both interior and exterior of vehicle designs. And we've placed more graduates in the transportation design industry than any other program in the world. This is what we're most well known for because we're located in the Motor City. And if a student was interested in any of the majors that I just talked about, but also want to influence the future of art and design through the classroom, they'd be happy to know that our art education program works like a dual major. So students would work towards their studio practice in one of those majors I just mentioned, and also take their student teaching required hours and their developmental psychology and other classes required to get their certification to teach kindergarten through 12th grade anywhere in the US or Canada. So you're leaving with two things, a bachelor's degree and a teaching certification. And this is the reason why our graduates from this program have a 100% placement rate. It's a credit to our curriculum as well, because it's 80% of the studio practice, while the remaining 20% is the art education classes. A lot of other programs flip it the other way around, where you're focusing on pedagogy, but not really the in-depth things necessary to learn art in a variety of disciplines. And then all of our students at CCS, if they declare a major when they apply, it is a direct entry program. So students are starting off in their major first semester freshman year. However, we do have an undeclared path for students who aren't quite sure what it is they want to do, but they know they want to be creative. They can actually come in that first semester and take a studio class called Discovering Your Practice, where they're exploring the intersection of art, design, and craft, and guided to make a choice at the end of that semester that's more suited towards their path based on what they enjoyed about their exploration. And in addition to students starting off in that major or starting with it, discovering their practice, all of our students do take foundation level art and design classes in freshman year. So it's not a foundation year program where you're only learning foundations. You will start in your major, but you're also strengthening skills for your major with things like drawing classes or 2D and 3D fundamental classes or digital fundamentals. If you don't know how to use Photoshop, or build a website, you're learning that in some of these digital fundamental classes while also learning techniques specific to your program. This is why our students are leaving with such strong portfolios, because they are starting with, they have 4 years of practice in their program instead of 3 or 2, like some of the other schools out there. Our liberal arts program is about 1/3 of the curriculum at CCS. So 2/3 of your time is in studio producing artwork, and 1/3 of your time is learning history, psychology, philosophy that contributes to what you're doing in your art and design practice. And then we also have liberal arts minors. So if you're interested in studying multiple areas, most of our majors can also be taken as a minor. So you can major in film and minor in photography, or major in animation and minor in illustration. But you can also get a liberal arts-based minor, which could allow you to really augment the way that you're talking about your work or critically thinking about your practice. I already mentioned we have our entrepreneurial studies concentration, and we also have study abroad. So if you want to study across the world, you can study abroad for up to a year. And we also have ACAD exchange, which means you can study at another ACAD accredited school. So schools accredited by the Association of Independent Colleges of Art and Design. If you want to go and study at SAIC or Pratt for a semester, but pay CCS tuition rate because it's cheaper than some of the other art schools out there, you can do that through our ACAD exchange program, which is really exciting. So because of the way that these programs are set up, we see students going directly into their career with a high salary range. We have an average starting salary of $51,000 to $81,000 for our graduates. And that's throughout our programs, right? It's not just for graphic design, right? Art and design careers, all of them have viable career rates, salary rates, right? And we have a ton of alumni contributing in all of these different industries. So if you're interested in pursuing this path, I want to quickly talk about the admissions requirements at CCS. First, we need you to submit a free online application. Our application is separate from Common App, so you will fill it out on our website. It takes about 10 minutes. There's no essays. From there, we're looking at your transcripts and your portfolio. So transcript for high school students, looking for 2.5 or higher. College students looking for a 2.0 or higher if you're transferring. And then your portfolio is 8 to 12 pieces of artwork that you've produced in the last 2 years that show us your strongest skill sets. Your portfolio does not have to be specific to the major you're applying to. So for example, if you were interested in glass, but you've never been in a glass blowing studio before, that's okay. You can show us drawings that you've done or photography that you've shot. The only specific requirements that we have is that for students who are entering drawing intensive majors like illustration, animation, game design, or transportation design, we do want to see at least 5 drawings in your portfolio. So of the 8 to 12 pieces, you want to make sure 5 of them are drawn. They can be digital or traditional drawings. They can be any medium. They can be any subject matter, right? You can enter transportation design and draw only people. That's okay. But we do want to see your drawing skills for those programs. We're also looking for your creativity, your voice, and your originality in your portfolio. So you want to make sure that the images you're including, the sources, that you're really being unique. You're not drawing other people's characters in your portfolio. You're not doing fan art. We want to see your unique work. The only exception to those rules is concept design. We do need to see how you visualize a story through the concept design lens. So we want to show your full process from research to final renderings and executions for characters, hardware, architecture, and environment. So if you need more details about that, please check out our portfolio requirements on our website. That said, we do take transfer credit for high school and transferring college students. So if you're taking AP or IB classes, we want to make sure you're letting us know. If you're doing dual enrollment or early college classes through a community college, we can take credit for that. But we also have our own opportunities for you to earn college credit at CCS while you're still in high school.
The pre-college summer experience is an opportunity for students to come to CCS and gain that true college experience. They get to live here or commute here just like other students. They get to work with students who go to CCS and learn about what life is like here. Then they get to work with teachers who also teach our students. So the students are able to do some portfolio building. They come in, they get a lot of critiques from the teachers, from the other mentors, the other students, and they're able to really help them build their portfolio. So when they are applying to go to colleges, they've been able to see what other students have done and what other students' portfolios look like. So when you come to the pre-college summer experience at CCS, you get an opportunity to work with other students who are coming from all over the country and even all over the world. So they're able to meet all of these people who like to do the same things that they like to do, and they feel really comfortable and really at home right away. It's definitely something that they have shared, and you can just see their faces light up when they're here and they're seeing everyone else who are passionate about the same things they're passionate about. So it's a great opportunity for them to immerse themselves in the college experience while gaining pre-college credits.
In addition to the 3 college credits you can earn through our pre-college summer experience, we also have remote dual enrollment. So if you're in another state and you can't, for some reason, make it to campus to do our summer program, you can do dual enrollment virtually with CCS and earn college credit as well. But I share this to say all these resources are helpful for you building your portfolio, which is half of the decision-making factor for merit-based scholarship. We consider all of our applicants for merit-based scholarship when they apply to CCS. And that's looking at your portfolio and the grades on your transcript. 98% of our applicants receive a combination of merit-based aid and need-based aid. So we do look at FAFSA information at CCS. And because of this, the average scholarship and grant package our students are receiving is a little over $22,000 per year. That cuts the tuition cost by 40% for some students, right? And so we encourage students to apply by our early action deadline of December 1st, so they get the highest consideration for a merit-based scholarship. We do have rolling admissions though after our priority deadline, which is February 1st. So I hope that this information got you all excited about, exploring a career in art and design, knowing that there's a lot of opportunity out there and that CCS is really here to help you elevate your interests and grow those talents so that you can change the world using your creativity. So if you have additional questions and need support, if you want an informal portfolio review or to take a tour on our campus, now would be a great time to scan the QR code on the center of this page here, the admissions folder. It's chock full of information beyond what I shared here today. And if you want to get on our mailing list and start getting notified about scholarship opportunities and tour opportunities, you can scan the request info QR code, and we'll make sure to get you everything you need to get started on your path to CCS. So with that, I'm going to stop running my mouth and see if there are any questions that I can answer.